Have you ever paused to reflect on the constant stream of thoughts running through your mind? Among those thoughts, how often do you catch yourself dwelling on worries, insecurities, or self-doubt? For most of us, negative thinking isn't just an occasional visitor. It's a persistent force shaping how we perceive ourselves and the world around us. Studies show that a significant majority of people face struggles with low self-esteem and critical self-talk at some point in their lives. This statistic isn't merely a number. It's a call to introspection. Why do these patterns of thought hold such power over us? And more importantly, how can we break free from them? In ancient philosophy, particularly in Stoicism, we find timeless wisdom on mastering the mind. The Stoics understood that while we cannot control external circumstances, we possess complete sovereignty over how we respond to them. They recognized that our internal world, the realm of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions, determines our well-being far more than any external event ever could. Today, negative thinking is not just a private battle. It's a widespread affliction exacerbated by societal pressures, unrealistic standards, and the human tendency to focus on what's lacking rather than what's present. This discussion isn't about offering shallow positivity or dismissing life's difficulties. Instead, it's an invitation to delve deep into the roots of negative thinking and equip ourselves with practical, philosophical tools to counter it. By understanding and confronting the narratives we've internalized, those whispered doubts that limit our potential, we can begin to reshape the framework of our minds. Through this process, we not only silence the inner critic, but transform it into an ally that propels us toward a life guided by clarity, courage, and virtue. Today, we will explore Stoic techniques that go beyond mere coping strategies. We'll learn how to scrutinize our thoughts with logic, detach from destructive mental habits, and cultivate a mindset built on resilience and inner calm. Whether you're new to Stoicism or a seasoned student of philosophy, this journey promises to challenge deeply held assumptions and inspire profound personal growth. Stay with us, and together, we'll embark on a path toward mastering our minds, step by step, thought by thought. Are you ready to embrace this journey of transformation? Let's begin. 1. Understanding negative thinking. To dismantle negative thinking, we must first understand its essence. What exactly is negative thinking, and why does it hold such sway over our lives? At its core, negative thinking is a mental pattern, a recurring loop of doubt, fear, and self-criticism. It manifests in countless ways: anticipating failure before even attempting a task, believing we are undeserving of success, or assuming that setbacks define our worth. Such patterns are not merely inconveniences. They shape our reality, influencing the way we approach relationships, careers, and personal growth. Left unchecked, they can become a self-imposed barrier, limiting our potential and distorting our perception of the world. But how do these thoughts take root so deeply? The Stoics offer a profound answer. It is not events themselves that disturb us, but our interpretations of them. This insight, famously articulated by Epictetus, underscores a critical truth. Our suffering stems not from external circumstances, but from the meaning we attach to them. In this light, negative thinking becomes a distortion of reality, a lens through which we view the world in an exaggeratedly pessimistic way. Yet, recognizing this distortion is only the first step. To truly free ourselves, we must understand the origins of these thoughts. Many of our negative patterns are shaped during formative years, influenced by our upbringing, societal norms, and personal experiences. A child repeatedly told they are not good enough internalizes this message, carrying it into adulthood as a silent but powerful voice of self-doubt. Even seemingly minor incidents, criticism from a teacher, rejection by a peer, or societal pressure to meet impossible standards, can plant seeds of negativity that grow over time. Carl Jung observed that much of what drives us lies in the unconscious, beyond the reach of immediate awareness. Until we bring these unconscious beliefs to light, they will continue to dictate our lives, masquerading as unchangeable fate. Moreover, societal and cultural factors play a pivotal role. In a world that constantly compares, judges, and emphasizes scarcity, it's all too easy to adopt a mindset of inadequacy. We are bombarded with messages that we must be wealthier, more successful, and more attractive to be worthy. These external pressures feed the inner critic, reinforcing negative thought patterns that undermine our confidence and sense of self. The Stoics, however, provide a different perspective, one that encourages us to shift our focus from external validation to internal mastery. They teach us to measure our worth not by fleeting societal standards, but by the virtues we cultivate: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Understanding negative thinking means recognizing that it is not an inherent part of who we are, but a learned behavior, a habit of the mind. Aristotle reminds us that excellence is not a singular act, but a habit formed through repeated action. In the same way, negative thinking becomes habitual when we repeatedly interpret events in a self-defeating manner. Fortunately, habits can be unlearned and replaced. By examining our thoughts critically and challenging their validity, we can begin to rewrite the narratives we've carried for too long. Plato's philosophy echoes this transformation. Just as shadows on a cave wall do not represent the fullness of reality, our negative interpretations do not reflect the whole truth of who we are or what we are capable of. This process isn't easy. It requires courage to face the darker corners of our mind and patience to dismantle long-standing mental constructs. Yet, as the Stoics remind us, the effort is worthwhile. By confronting negative thinking, we reclaim the power to shape our perceptions, and in doing so, we regain control of our lives. Through disciplined introspection and the conscious cultivation of healthier thought patterns, we can transform our inner world from one dominated by doubt to one illuminated by reason, strength, and hope. This, in essence, is the Stoic path to overcoming negativity. Not through avoidance, but through deep understanding, critical reflection, and deliberate action. 2. Impact of negative thinking. Negative thinking is not merely an occasional disruption in our mental flow. It's a pervasive force that can shape every facet of our lives, often without us even realizing it. Its influence begins subtly, creeping into our daily routines and decisions, but over time, it can dominate our mental landscape. The Stoics believe that unchecked thoughts have the power to determine our experience of life itself, and negative thinking is a prime example of this truth. When we constantly engage with thoughts of doubt, fear, or inadequacy, we begin to view ourselves and the world through a lens of limitation. This altered perception influences how we feel about our abilities, how we approach challenges, and ultimately, the trajectory of our personal growth. One of the most insidious effects of negative thinking is how it undermines our capacity for action. Instead of viewing obstacles as opportunities for growth, we start seeing them as insurmountable barriers. It's like being trapped in a mental fog, where clarity and confidence are obscured by a haze of self-doubt. Even before taking the first step, we convince ourselves that failure is inevitable. This mindset doesn't just prevent progress, it reinforces a cycle of inaction and resignation. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, repeatedly emphasized the importance of confronting challenges with courage and rationality. He urged us to remember that our power lies not in controlling what happens, but in controlling how we respond. Negative thinking, however, robs us of that power, making us feel as though we are at the mercy of external events. Beyond personal inertia, negative thinking also seeps into our relationships, careers, and overall well-being. It distorts our communication with others, often leading to misunderstandings or conflict. When we perceive ourselves through a critical lens, it's only natural that we project this insecurity outward, misinterpreting the intentions of those around us. Over time, this can erode trust and connection, isolating us from meaningful relationships. In professional settings, negative thinking limits our ambition, making us settle for less than we are capable of achieving. Instead of striving toward excellence, we become preoccupied with avoiding failure. This approach, as Aristotle might suggest, is antithetical to the pursuit of virtue, for excellence requires us to engage fully with life, embracing both its risks and rewards. Furthermore, negative thinking has a profound impact on our emotional state. Persistent negative thoughts can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, and even depression. When our mind is trapped in a cycle of anticipating the worst, our body responds by remaining in a heightened state of alertness, exhausting our emotional and physical resources. The Stoics understood this connection well. They taught that our emotions are the result of our judgments. Change the judgment, and you change the emotion. This is why Stoicism places such emphasis on examining the validity of our thoughts and rejecting those that do not serve us. By failing to challenge negative thinking, we allow it to dictate our emotional state, often resulting in unnecessary suffering. Perhaps most damaging of all is the way negative thinking can shape our identity. When we repeatedly engage in self-defeating thoughts, they begin to form the core narrative of who we believe we are. Over time, we may start to see ourselves not as capable, resilient individuals, but as flawed beings defined by our limitations. This is the true danger of negative thinking. It convinces us that our current perception is the only reality. Yet, as Plato reminds us through his allegory of the cave, our initial perceptions are often incomplete, mere shadows of the truth. By remaining trapped in the cave of negative thinking, we deny ourselves the chance to experience the full light of reality, which reveals our true potential. The impact of negative thinking is far-reaching, influencing not only our present actions, but also the future we create. However, the Stoics remind us that while we may not always control the initial thought, we do control whether or not we engage with it. Negative thinking only holds power over us if we allow it to. By recognizing its influence and choosing to confront it with reason and clarity, we can reclaim our agency and begin to rewrite our internal narrative. This shift in perspective doesn't happen overnight, but with deliberate practice, it becomes a habit, one that enables us to live with greater confidence, purpose, and inner peace. In the end, the impact of negative thinking is determined not by its existence, but by our response to it. 3. Stoic strategies to overcome negative thinking. Overcoming negative thinking is not about suppressing or ignoring it. It's about understanding its nature and learning to manage it with clarity and purpose. Stoicism offers a rich arsenal of strategies to help us do exactly that. Unlike modern approaches that often advocate for surface-level positivity, Stoic philosophy digs deeper, urging us to face our thoughts head-on and evaluate them critically. By doing so, we cultivate a mindset that is both resilient and rational, capable of withstanding the inevitable storms of life. The first and perhaps most vital Stoic strategy is critical examination of thoughts. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, repeatedly stressed the importance of scrutinizing each thought as it arises, asking whether it is rational, helpful, or aligned with our higher purpose. This practice encourages us to challenge the automatic, negative assumptions that often dominate our inner dialogue. For example, when faced with a failure, instead of immediately concluding that we are incapable, the Stoic approach would have us ask, is this judgment accurate, or is it simply a reflexive response rooted in fear? By questioning the validity of our thoughts, we begin to dismantle the power they hold over us. Another powerful tool in the Stoic repertoire is detachment, learning to separate ourselves from our thoughts and emotions. The Stoics believe that while we cannot control the initial appearance of a thought, we can control whether or not we engage with it. Epictetus advised that we should view our thoughts as external impressions, not intrinsic parts of who we are. This perspective creates a mental distance, allowing us to observe our thoughts without being consumed by them. Detachment doesn't mean indifference. Rather, it means acknowledging a thought's presence without granting it authority over our emotions or actions. In addition to detachment, the practice of premeditation of evils provides a practical way to neutralize the fear-driven nature of negative thinking. This exercise involves mentally rehearsing potential worst-case scenarios, not to dwell in negativity, but to prepare ourselves for life's uncertainties. By visualizing these outcomes in advance, we diminish their power to incite fear or anxiety when they occur. As Seneca wrote, "He who has anticipated calamities suffers them less." When we learn to face the possibility of adversity with a calm, reasoned mind, negative thinking loses its grip, and we become more capable of navigating challenges with equanimity. Another cornerstone of Stoic practice is the cultivation of virtue-based thinking. Instead of allowing our minds to dwell on perceived inadequacies or fears, Stoicism invites us to redirect our focus toward cultivating the four cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. For instance, when negative thoughts about our capabilities arise, we can counter them by acting with courage, taking action despite the doubt. When faced with unfair treatment, we can respond with justice rather than resentment. By actively engaging in virtuous behavior, we replace destructive mental patterns with constructive ones, building a stronger and more resilient inner character. Equally important is the Stoic emphasis on daily introspection and journaling. Marcus Aurelius himself practiced this diligently, reflecting each evening on the thoughts and actions of the day. This habit helps us identify recurring negative thought patterns and assess how effectively we applied Stoic principles in real-life situations. Through regular introspection, we gain deeper self-awareness and cultivate a proactive approach to mental renewal. Over time, this practice builds a mental framework that is less susceptible to negativity and more aligned with rational thought and personal growth. Lastly, Stoicism teaches us the value of environmental awareness. The Stoics understood that while the mind is our greatest fortress, it is still influenced by the environment we choose to inhabit. Therefore, we are encouraged to surround ourselves with people, ideas, and media that nurture positive and rational thinking. Seneca advised associating with those who elevate us, reminding us that our environment plays a crucial role in shaping our mental landscape. By intentionally curating our surroundings, be it the people we interact with or the content we consume, we create fertile ground for Stoic resilience to flourish. Together, these strategies form a holistic approach to overcoming negative thinking. They don't promise to eliminate negativity entirely. Life's challenges will always give rise to difficult thoughts. What they offer, however, is a path to mastering our responses, reclaiming control of our mental world, and cultivating a life of purpose, clarity, and inner strength. Through disciplined practice, we transform our mind from a battleground of doubt and fear into a fortress of reason and virtue. This is the Stoic way, not to be untroubled by life, but to be undisturbed by trouble, standing firm in the knowledge that we have the power to shape our inner reality. 4. The role of action in changing mindsets. In the Stoic worldview, the transformation of the mind is not achieved through mere contemplation. It requires deliberate and consistent action. While recognizing negative thoughts is a crucial first step, genuine change occurs only when we actively engage in behaviors that reflect our philosophical ideals. The Stoics understood that thought and action are deeply interconnected. Without action, thoughts remain abstract, lacking the power to reshape our reality. As Epictetus succinctly put it, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This insight highlights a profound truth. By acting in alignment with our desired mindset, we reinforce and cultivate it. The process begins with deliberate practice. Aristotle famously stated that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act but a habit. Applying this wisdom to the realm of thought, it becomes clear that cultivating a healthier mindset is a matter of repeated, intentional action. Every time we choose to act in a way that counters our negative beliefs, whether by confronting a fear, persevering through difficulty, or showing kindness despite doubt, we weaken the hold of those destructive patterns. Over time, these actions accumulate, creating a new narrative grounded in capability and resilience. Furthermore, Stoicism teaches us that virtue is cultivated through action, not passive reflection. Courage, for example, is not merely a trait we aspire to. It is something we develop by consistently acting bravely, even when fear persists. Similarly, self-discipline grows not from thinking about temperance, but from actively practicing restraint in our daily lives. Each small act of virtue serves as a brick in the construction of a stronger mindset. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that external events are beyond his control, but his responses are entirely his own. Acting with wisdom and courage in response to life's challenges builds the mental strength to resist negative thinking and persevere with clarity. Another essential element of Stoic action is facing discomfort intentionally. The Stoics believe that growth occurs when we step outside our comfort zones, confronting difficulties with a calm, rational mind. This idea aligns with the modern concept of exposure therapy, where repeated exposure to feared situations diminishes their emotional impact. By actively seeking out and embracing discomfort, we train ourselves to respond with equanimity rather than anxiety. Whether it's initiating a difficult conversation, taking a calculated risk, or pushing through physical fatigue, each act of stepping into discomfort rewires our mindset, replacing fear with strength. Additionally, journaling and reflection serve as bridges between thought and action, allowing us to track our progress and hold ourselves accountable. The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, placed great emphasis on this practice. Journaling isn't merely an exercise in recording events. It's a means of examining whether our actions align with our values and identifying areas for improvement. Through consistent reflection, we develop a clearer sense of how our actions shape our mindset and, consequently, our reality. It reinforces the habit of deliberate action, ensuring that we remain on the path of self-mastery. The role of action in changing mindsets also extends to the choices we make in our daily environment. Seneca wisely advised surrounding ourselves with those who uplift and challenge us to grow. This principle underscores the idea that our external actions, such as the people we associate with and the content we engage with, directly influence our internal world. By consciously curating our environment to reflect our values, we create conditions that support positive mental shifts. Whether it's engaging in meaningful conversations, participating in communities that encourage philosophical inquiry, or dedicating time to activities that foster personal growth, every action contributes to the cultivation of a healthier mindset. Ultimately, Stoicism reminds us that while thought can inspire, only action can transform. The gap between recognizing the need for change and experiencing true personal growth is bridged by consistent, purposeful action. It's through these small, daily acts of courage, discipline, reflection, and deliberate effort, that we shape not only our mindset but our entire way of being. As we continue to act in alignment with our higher ideals, negative thinking loses its grip, and we become more grounded in rationality, resilience, and virtue. This is the essence of Stoic practice, a life not merely contemplated but lived with intention, where action becomes the cornerstone of lasting transformation. 5. The power of words. Words possess an extraordinary power. Far beyond mere symbols or sounds, they have the capacity to shape reality, influence perceptions, and guide actions. The Stoics understood that language is not only a medium for communication, but also a tool for thought and personal development. Epictetus famously remarked, "First learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak." This simple yet profound directive highlights the Stoic belief that our words must be chosen with both care and intention. Whether directed outward in conversation or inward in self-reflection, words mold the way we see ourselves and the world around us. Negative thinking often begins and thrives through language, internal dialogue filled with self-doubt and fear. When we repeatedly tell ourselves, "I can't do this," or "I'm not good enough," these phrases become mental scripts that dictate our actions. Over time, this internal dialogue solidifies into belief, limiting our potential and clouding our judgment. The Stoics, however, offer a remedy. By changing our internal language, we can change our perception of reality. Instead of allowing destructive phrases to dominate our mind, we can replace them with reasoned affirmations rooted in Stoic principles. Telling ourselves, "I have control over my actions," or "this challenge is an opportunity for growth," shifts our focus from defeat to empowerment. Moreover, Stoicism emphasizes that our words should be in harmony with our values. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the importance of speaking truthfully, kindly, and purposefully. For the Stoics, words were not to be used lightly or carelessly. They were to reflect inner virtue and be aligned with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. This alignment is crucial because language, once expressed, carries the potential to uplift or harm, to clarify or confuse. By ensuring that our speech remains rooted in virtue, we cultivate not only a disciplined mind, but also a positive influence on those around us. Beyond external speech, Stoicism also urges us to be vigilant about the silent words we speak to ourselves. Internal dialogue, our ongoing, private conversation, has a profound impact on our mental state. The Stoics knew that if left unchecked, negative self-talk could lead to emotional turmoil and poor decision-making. Therefore, they advocated for continuous introspection and correction of one's thoughts. This practice aligns closely with modern psychological approaches, such as cognitive behavioral therapy, which teaches us to identify and reframe negative thinking patterns. By choosing our inner words carefully, we fortify our minds against unnecessary suffering and cultivate greater emotional resilience. Furthermore, the power of words extends beyond the individual to the broader community. As social beings, our speech influences the thoughts, emotions, and actions of those around us. Seneca advised associating with people who improve us and, in turn, speaking in ways that uplift others. Words can inspire courage, offer comfort, and foster connection. Conversely, careless or harmful speech can breed misunderstanding, resentment, and division. By using words thoughtfully, we contribute to a more just and harmonious environment, reflecting the Stoic ideal of living in accordance with nature, that is, in harmony with our fellow human beings. Finally, the Stoics recognize that words, when coupled with action, have the power to transform not just our individual lives, but the world itself. While words can inspire thought, they must be followed by deeds to create real change. Epictetus advised that we should first define who we want to be, then act accordingly, ensuring that our actions echo the words we speak. This integrity, where speech and action align, forms the foundation of a Stoic life, one that seeks not fleeting approval but enduring virtue. In the end, the power of words lies not in their volume but in their meaning. Whether spoken aloud or whispered in the depths of our mind, they shape who we are and who we are becoming. The Stoics remind us that every word we choose, whether in thought or conversation, either strengthens or weakens our inner citadel. Let us, then, speak with wisdom, think with clarity, and live with purpose, understanding that words are not just reflections of our reality, but instruments through which we can shape it. Conclusion. As we draw this discussion to a close, it's worth reflecting on the transformative journey we've embarked upon. Negative thinking is not an external enemy. It's a subtle force that arises from within, shaped by our past experiences, societal pressures, and unconscious beliefs. Yet, As the Stoics remind us, we are not powerless in the face of this challenge. We have the ability to master our thoughts, reshape our perceptions, and reclaim control over our mental world. Through the disciplined practice of examining our thoughts, cultivating virtues, and aligning our actions with reason, we can rise above the chains of negativity and create a life driven by clarity, purpose, and inner strength. Stoicism teaches us that while we may not control what life brings, we have complete authority over how we respond. By applying the strategies we've explored today, critical thought, detachment, premeditation of evils, and deliberate action, we lay the foundation for a more resilient and empowered self. This path is not about perfection, but about progress, a daily commitment to living thoughtfully, cultivating inner peace, and choosing virtue over despair. If today's insights have resonated with you, remember that the journey doesn't end here. Philosophy, particularly Stoicism, is a lifelong practice, one that deepens with time and reflection. Together, we can continue exploring these timeless principles, sharing wisdom, and supporting each other in the pursuit of personal growth and inner mastery. If you found value in this discussion, I encourage you to join our growing community by subscribing to this channel. By doing so, you're not just supporting the creation of more content, you're becoming part of a collective effort to bring ancient wisdom into the modern world, inspiring others to live with purpose, resilience, and clarity. Thank you for being with us on this philosophical journey. Remember, every thought we choose, every word we speak, and every action we take shapes the person we are becoming. Let the wisdom of Stoicism guide you as you continue forward, turning obstacles into opportunities and doubts into strengths. Until next time, stay thoughtful, stay courageous, and keep striving toward the best version of yourself. And if you're ready to take the next step, click on the video appearing on your screen now. There's much more wisdom to uncover. See you there.